I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I recommend it to fans of fantasy or anybody who wants to escape reality for a little while. It's enjoyable, well-written, cool little read. If you need more opinion than that, well, just stay tuned because I'll cram you full of opinion. It's what I do. So, enjoy. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I think this is one of those cases where we need to check in with the magic duff bucket right off the top of the video. So let's do that right now. What have you got for me today, magic duff bucket? There's the duff bucket, you see it. Boom, even more Jesus. A pretty good stout. I think I've gone over this a lot with this beer. So we're just going to pour it in this glass and we're going to get on with it. So big caveat or big disclaimer or what have you to this video is that this is a review of a fantasy book by a horror fan. All right. So there's a level of cultural shock, shall we say. A couple of things that a person uninitiated to the fantasy world needs to get used to before doing a proper review of a story. So I know it's not really fair to strip the story out from all the trappings of the genre, but that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm probably going to fail. That's okay. That's okay. If you know anything, this channel is comfortable with failure. So it's kind of fun and fun-y that a guy who has a Dragon Lord knife doesn't read fantasy. And then, yes, I've come to the realization that I've read a number of fantasy books. The Dark Tower books, Clive Barker books, Talisman, Black House. Those are fantasy. So there's Lord of the Rings, of course, but everybody's read that, you know. So there's some initiation into this world. But man, I wasn't ready for this level. This was like being trapped in a Renaissance fair, surrounded by LARPers, and they're handing you a 20-sided die and to see how you do. And you got to roll a 20, you know, to get away from it's a D&D reference. So I knew I was going to the Medieval Knights dinner and tournament here of my own free will. I'm the guy that bought the ticket. I showed up. I had to be a good guest in this country. I couldn't just dismiss it all. It was tough because the first half of the book, the first few pages at least, I know I exaggerate, first half of the book, first 20 pages or so was like a phone book. And it was listing everybody who lived in these towns. And all the names were unpronounceable, so I just stopped trying after a while. If you asked me who the two main characters were, I'd say one, Parmon Kess, who's the servant, and then his lord, Hatarki. Hatarki? But don't try to get me to say his parents' names or his brother's name or really any other name that's in the book, because I won't do it. And I don't think I'm going to, in this review, sit and try to read the names for you. So, but that's beside the point, because really a book review is just, you know, what did you think of the book, right? What did you walk away from? If I want to read the synopsis, I'll get the dust jacket. So essentially, what's this book about? This book is about two lords of this race of people, high up immortals. They live like many great years, and a great year is 60 years. These people are pretty much highfalutin, non-human but humanoid, and they're pretty high up there. These two brothers who are lords go to this place to slay a dragon, except they call it a black worm or a cold drake, but then they use the word dragon, so my brain didn't know what to picture. I kept looking at this thing like it was an earthworm or a drake, which is a rapper. You know, I don't know who it is. So I settled on dragon, and apparently that's how it nets out, that this thing's a dragon. So they go to kill this dragon because the puny little mortals, you know, like us, came there and they asked for the help. So they go out there to kill the dragon, it gets all botched. One of the brothers makes an oath, and then the rest of the book is sort of off to the races, shall we say. This brother makes an oath and he swears by it, and then the other brother is bound to serve his brother, and everybody talks in like Renaissance fair language with my lord, my lady, I beg your pardon. A lot of formality, man. There is a lot of posturing in this book, a lot of ritualistic custom sing-song stuff, and a caste system where, anyway, so this book contains themes of slavery, freedom, love, honor, oaths, and loyalty. Above all, loyalty. This book is about loyalty. So, stripping away all that and learning that these are the customs of the land and adapting, and I did adapt after a while and I got into it. What did I think of the story? Well, it's really interesting, right? So there's some cool action sequences. There's some fun, it's a fantasy. So you really think these grand landscapes and these towering castles and these evil or cryptic people and these shadowy regimes, and it's an escape and it's fun, and the story at its heart was interesting. So it felt like I was back in European history class talking about these old kings that were crazy and immature. You know how the old kings were. They were crazy and immature, just like the gods on Mount Olympus and all the people that we used to tremble under as being tempestuous or fickle or whatever. So it kind of did feel like I was studying ancient history, but with, magic and dragons or drakes. And I did get into it, and I did like it. In fact, I think the best part of the book was when they talk about the effects of dragon's blood on people. That was cool. That was neat. And I just wished it would have, a horror fan, I wish it would have gone deeper along those paths and gotten darker and, a little more madness and a little more, supernatural elements and things like that. Didn't really quite go there, but I saw the possibilities. But then it kind of lags, and I got to say, those last 20 pages were a bear for me to get through. Perhaps because this book is a prequel to a trilogy, perhaps those last 20 pages are connecting the dots between this book and Dragonbone Chair, which is the first in the trilogy. So maybe a lot of those 20 pages were relevant to fans of the trilogy that might have liked those references and understood, oh, that's how Ted Williams is setting up this thing or that thing or whatever. I have no idea. But it was a chore for me to get through it. In fact, I thought this already slim book could have been shorter. If I didn't have to suffer through some of the formalities and things like that, I think it could have gotten right to the story quicker. But people are reading this, and I think some of the people I've talked to in my live streams have said, you started in right at high fantasy, man. You should have started at a different level, but you took the elevator all the way to the top. High fantasy is like 90s stuff where people were like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. So anyway, I did enjoy it. It was a fun read. I liked it. It was, apart from those last 20 pages, I was engaged. I wanted to see what happened. Of course, looking back over how it did end and how it did progress, made me wish it had gone a different path, maybe gotten darker and more grisly. It felt like a young adult. It felt safe. It felt young adult. I didn't really feel a lot of risk there. But I think as a horror fan, I did like it. So I guess you could say, like, if an English major gets a C in chemistry, that English major should be happy because that's not their subject, right? In the chemistry, you did pretty good. So if this book gets a C with me, I think that says a lot because I'm not our audience, and I think the audience will totally dig it. if you like that stuff, if you like unpronounceable names and a lot of posturing and so on, you'd like it. Maybe throw another dragon in there. I don't know. Will I read the Dragonbone Chair? I don't think so. I'm gonna read Lord Fowl's Bane as my next fantasy read. I'm gonna see how that feels, and then I'm gonna try to read some Joe Abercrombie. So I'm gonna get a feel for this fantasy world. High fantasy, is that for me? I don't really think so. Could I be convinced? Yes. Maybe Dragonbone Chair has a lot of the elements that I'm looking for. If they've taken it those darker paths, maybe that's what I dig more. So who knows? You never can tell. This is a fun book. I'm glad I got it. It's a first edition, signed, and it'll go on my shelf. And I don't know if I'll ever revisit it, but so that's it. I'm glad I did it. And I'm not done with fantasy. Fantasy's not done with me. So stick around. Stay tuned. Dune. Hello, Dune's coming my way. I'm not going to read that book. Man. Ooh. That has a worm in it, and the goddamn thing's a worm. I don't think they call it a dragon. It's a big worm. So, a worm. A worm is a worm. Black worm, cold drake, dragon. The dragon had an unpronounceable name. Again, I do understand I bought tickets to the Renaissance Fair and I shouldn't go there and bash the Renaissance Fair. And I'm not. I'm just saying from a horror fan's point of view, your customs are interesting. And I bow to you graciously for having me thusly in your company, etc. Can I have some mead now? Can I have some mead? And I'm going to eat that chicken thigh, turkey leg with my bare hands and then slop the soup and sing a song about my ancestors. So until next time, don't stab the worm. Don't swear an oath you can't keep. But above all, stay frosty.